Hey, welcome back. We're the Kampai guys.
Today we're going to be checking out another movie trailer as part of our At the Movies series. Today we have the new movie from Robert Eggers, The Northman.
The Northman.
The Northman.
Not the Witch.
Not the Lighthouse.
The Northman.
Does this mean he lives in Scotland? Hokkaido?
What could that mean?
The Arctic?
Canada?
The North Star? The North Pole?
Fist of the North Star. Fist of the Northman.
Is this Robert Eggers doing Fist of the North Star?
That'd be a really weird take on it.
Sounds like a detour from his other stuff.
I have no idea what this movie is about. I can only go on his previous works. I've seen The Witch, and I've seen the trailer for The Lighthouse, which I'm very interested to watch. I just have to, find it first. Do you know anything about this movie?
This will be the third film, I guess, I've seen by him when it comes out. I also don't really know much about it. The only thing I've heard is it's maybe to do with Vikings.
Yeah, I saw the title card.
Yeah,
like the title lettering for it, and it looks very like Norse,
Viking-y. Yeah.
Yeah. Vikingy.
Viking-y.
Yeah.
I tell people in Japan anything can be an adjective, you just add Y to it. So, gotta live by
that's true.
my principles. So.
Yeah. Or ish. E or ish.
So it seems kind of Scandinavian set. I don't know if it's like based on real history. Knowing Robert Eggers, it probably has some historical element to it. He seems to be really into like setting things in like really realistic places, but then add in mythology.
Yeah, I was gonna say he really seems to love like period pieces.
But like add in some fantastical or horror element. But his first two films that I've seen were definitely very well made. Like, he's definitely a craftsman, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He really takes the time to set shots. And
similar to The Witch, you mentioned that The Lighthouse has very, very heavy, period accurate accents. Yes. And so I'm curious how this movie will sound as well.
A couple of other movie reviewers from the States I know had to put like subtitles on The Lighthouse, English subtitles. Especially for Willem Dafoe's accent.
His coral-tined trident screeches banshee-like in the tempest.
Man, I would imagine he would go all out in that movie.
He's
just seems like that kind of guy.
In it. And very, very funny as well.
All right, so let's do a little kampai and get the show on the road.
Boom. Kampai.
Kampai. I'm glad there's subtitles. Is that the chick from Game of Thrones?
No, that was Nicole Kidman.
What?
Yeah, and Willem Dafoe just popped up. Judging by how Nicole Kidman looks, she might be a vampire, I think. Oh, that was quite creepy, right? Is that Ethan Hawke too?
Was it?
I think it was, yeah. There we have Alexander Skarsgård. It's kind of looking like a historical epic.
I think I just saw the girl from A Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit, really? Oh.
The cinematography is really beautiful on this.
It is, yeah. Stunning.
I'm also trying to make out, like, what kind of movie this is. Like, what genre is this? It seems closer to, like, a Game of Thrones kind of movie. But with, like, a tinge of, like The Witch thrown in.
Darker than
that makes
Game of
sense.
Thrones? Like, more horror than Game of Thrones?
Yeah. But I also
It
wouldn't
doesn't look like
call
a
it a
horror movie.
horror based on the trailer, that is.
No. A couple of like witch, like creepy like scenes of people with like weird makeup and ghost eyes. But then before we started watching the trailer, like he likes to mix like historical like realism with myth or like ghost stories or that kind of thing.
Right. There is like a little bit of some fantastical stuff thrown in there as well.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Like, I wonder if this is attempt at making something more like blockbuster.
Yeah. It looks more like he's trying to up his
like for the masses,
up his level a little bit, watered down,
something more mainstream.
Diluted Eggers.
I don't want to call it watered down or diluted, but
not until
maybe
I've
something that appeals to the masses.
Not until I've seen it. It's something a bit more accessible than the last two movies. But,
right.
I mean, virtually anything would be more accessible than The Lighthouse, though. To be honest. So, yeah.
It's funny you say that, and while you say that, like, I'm really craving to see that movie. I'll give it this. It looks light years more entertaining than that new Lord of the Rings series coming out from Amazon. Did you see the trailer for that?
I have like very no interest in Lord of the Rings, so I haven't seen the trailer for it, but I'm curious about it just because how much they paid for the rights to Lord of the Rings, Amazon. Like they paid like a crazy amount of money for it.
A ton of money. Yeah.
Billions.
And
right?
it was in the billions for the rights and then like the budget to actually make it and produce it.
Did the original 4 movies make over $1 billion?
I don't know. Well, it was original 3 movies and then another 3 for the Hobbit series. The Hobbit series, people are kind of
I mean, like
mixed on, but
the new Spider-Man movie has made like over $1 billion by itself.
People hold the first 3 Lord of the Rings movies in like super high regard. They're considered like modern classics to a lot of people.
But they're releasing it as a series just on their Amazon Prime streaming service, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think it's like a reboot or like a side story or something. Anyway, it doesn't look very good. This Northman movie looks much better.
I'm
sure it costs just a tiny fraction of the budget.
They should have got Mr. Eggers to do it, I guess. Maybe he's like Stanley Kubrick too. I only make classics, sorry. He's like Mr. Tolkien wishes he wrote The Lighthouse.
I think my wife would like really be interested in seeing that movie too.
Really? The Northman?
Seeing The Northman, yeah. She's really into that kind of movie, folklore stuff. We watched a little bit of The Witcher on Netflix. She was into it. She liked it.
Really?
Yeah. She loved Game of Thrones.
I think you should drop The Lighthouse on her, actually. Just a suggestion.
Okay. Maybe tonight.
You can say David recommended a movie.
They still know exactly what to expect. Yeah.
On the witch site, they never leave like the farm, right? This looks like a very epic kind of multi-location kind of thing.
I was about to use the word epic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think The Witch and especially The Lighthouse, they're more small cast kind of movie.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, this could be a challenge for Eggers, right? To see if he can like handle this massive cast and like these huge scenes, action scenes.
Typically, like in general, I prefer movies that have a smaller cast, like character studies almost.
Yeah.
You know? Movies that have like not so many set pieces that are more like, you know, in one place. Epic movies, I don't mean like epic. I mean like, you know, epic movies like Troy or, you know, Noah, movies like that. They can be very, very good if done right. So
sometimes they can, you know, look at Gladiator. Like in that movie, you do get really into the characters. So
yeah.
But I think it does take like a certain kind of director to really be able to pull that off. I mean, it must be a good challenge for an up-and-coming director to like take hold of this scale.
I got 3 questions for you. First question: do you think The Northman will be financially successful.
Depends what the budget is. He does have his fans, Robert Eggers, but I don't think he has like enough of them to turn a profit on like a massive movie from his name alone.
Right.
Maybe
yeah.
that's
I'm sure
why,
most people don't know who he is.
Maybe that's why they've cast like Nicole Kidman. Or,
Do you think that was his choice, or do you think it was the movie studio?
I don't think he would choose actors to make money. Like half of filmmaking is like trying to get the money to make it.
A second question: do you think you will enjoy The Northman as much as you enjoyed The Witch and The Lighthouse? at least as much or more.
I think there's a good chance I might enjoy it as much as The Witch. The Lighthouse, I'd say. No.
Okay. Third question: do you think after this movie he'll go back to doing more like smaller cast cult movies, or do you think he'll just keep doing bigger budget epic style movies like this?
I think he'll probably balance both. Like he'll do like passion projects and then studio projects. Like if he does the passion project, then he can then do the bigger project to get funding for the next passion project.
I think that's a good way to put it. Passion project and studio project.
You'll give me like this money to do whatever the fuck I want in the next thing.
I think that's what they call a symbiotic relationship.
In The Lighthouse, like, I don't think it had a particularly high budget, so I don't think he needs like a great deal of funding to make what he wants. You know? I mean, like Willem Dafoe's salary.
I'm sure it had a very, very low budget.
Kind of felt like the kind of film that like Willem Dafoe might do for free. That kind of movie.
It's funny you said that. Like I was about to say, I'm sure the entire budget went to William Dafoe's salary, but then my next thought was, he's so eccentric that he may have just done it for free.
Yeah. I heard Robert Pattinson just said to him, like he asked Robert Pattinson, like, what kind of movie do you want to make? Eggers was like, well, I've got like a couple of normal things. I got this one like very weird thing. And apparently Pattinson was like, let's do the really weird.
I'll take that one.
So as long as I'm not the Twilight vampire, I'll do it. You're certainly not that in this.
I kind of feel like at this point he's shed his sparkly vampire cloak.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
He's done like a lot of stuff. Like nobody ever even talks about Twilight anymore. It's probably just us that talks about it. Us on this channel.
I guess you're excited for this. You're going to go see it?
I am, yeah. Do we know when it is coming out?
It's coming out in April. I think it's like the 20 something of April in the US. I don't think it will get a Japan release. Like it took about 3 years for The Lighthouse to get a release in Japan. But then that is a very low budget movie, so
yeah, in this case it seems like a bigger budget affair, so it might get some kind of release in Japan.
The budget was 60 million in this movie.
That doesn't seem very high. Like, aren't like really big budget movies like 200 million and above?
Yeah, but they're like really like massive movies. I guess what you're saying is for the way this movie looks, that sounds cheap.
Cheap or like average.
You know, like the budget for like West Side Story was like $250 million, I believe.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
And that movie like has barely made 50 million so far worldwide.
The thing about that movie is it's a Spielberg flick, so it's gonna continue generating sales, you know, on Blu-ray, streaming.
Looking at the release schedule, yeah, Japan is not on the release schedule. It's coming out in Taiwan in July, so that's like the closest country to Japan.
David, you want to plan a trip to Taiwan?
Just to see
summer?
this movie?
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Have you ever traveled overseas to see a movie before?
Not specifically to see a movie, no.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
I've taken advantage of being in that country at the time to see movies.
Alright, so that's The Northman.
If any of you guys are interested in seeing The Northman, please leave us a comment below. And if you've seen The Witch or The Lighthouse, let us know what you thought. We actually did talk about the Lighthouse at length in A Flood of Content, our podcast. I think it was episode 3, maybe. So yeah, please check that out on the channel or Apple Podcasts.
Thanks again, and until next time, we're the Compa Guys. See ya.